Hey, so I know this may not be the best test of a reel here because I'm cruising down the bank and I actually see a little male here on a bed. So I'm just pitching in there, and I will say, what I really like about this reel right now is it's extremely smooth when you pitch it. I mean, compared to my other luge reels and the other reels I do, like, it's effortless. And with that, I know I can get a lot of distance off of it. I can make quiet casts. Oh, is he picking it up? He picked it up and moved it. You can make extremely quiet casts, extremely accurate with it, and I'm having fun fishing with it right now. And this bass down here keeps flaring on it, but in that regard, it's kind of worth it. Obviously, when you're fishing this close, you don't need something that's going to cast a long ways, or you can get by pretty much anything, but I'm certainly having fun out here fishing with this reel. Pick it up, pick it up. Well, gals and girls, or guys and gals, or however you want to say it, there's the male here on that Lowe's. Pick it up here. That was not the smoothest thing I ever did in my life. On the Luge Pro TI with a one cast fishing Arky head jig. But that was definitely fun to fish with this thing. And it's a nice reel. I will say that right now. So let's go ahead and get back to it. Let's talk more about the reel. Hey guys, it's Ben from One Cast Fishing. Probably saw from the thumbnail, I obviously caught that fish to begin the video, and today we're talking about, and I'm doing a review on the Luge Pro TI series. This is a premium reel by Luge. It costs $349 on Tackle Warehouse. Full disclosure, I'm a Luge guy. I've got anything from the Speed Spool, the MB Speed Spool, which they don't make anymore, the MP Tournament Speed Spool, LFS. I've got the BB1, I've got the BB1 Pro. So my Luge reels range in price from $99 to $200, $199. I have never used this one this expensive, so I wanted to try out to see, is that increasing price really worth paying that for these premium reel, at least this premium Luge here. Also, full disclosure, right? I don't own this reel. Some of you may not know this, but Tackle Warehouse has a demo program. You can go on their website, desktop version, click on the top right. I don't know if my finger's gonna be right in yours, but top right screen it says demo. You can demo up to 4 reels at a time. You end up paying $20 in shipping. They ship them to you, and then you get them for about a week, and then you gotta ship it back to them. The only downside to it, and I'll warn you guys, they do charge you the deposit on the reel. So if you try this Luge Pro TI here, they're going to charge you $349 on your credit card. That's insurance for them, so they make sure they get it back. Once you send it back to them, they will then refund you that money. So it's a great opportunity to try some premium reels if you're looking at, and you're in that market, just to get a feel for them, decide what you like before you spend all that money on one. So there's a shout out to that program. That's what I'm doing here to review this thing. With that said, let's go ahead and talk about this reel here. All right, so let's talk about the reel here for a moment. And I'm talking about the components and some of the things I like about it. And at the end of the video, I'll talk about 2 criticisms I have for this reel. So again, it's $349, so it's a pretty penny, right? With that, you get a pretty reel. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's all aluminum housing, titanium finish. It shines. It's got a 20-pound carbon fiber drag system, which for bass fishing, that's all you need. If you're fishing pike or muskie and some really large fish, maybe it's a little light, but 20 pounds for most of us is gonna cover anything that we gotta do. It only weighs 6.3 ounces, so it's extremely light. It feels wonderful in your hand. You're not gonna get tired if you fish this thing all day. And then it's got those Japanese bearings, 10 bearings in there, ceramic bearings, so extremely high quality to get that smooth casting. Another great thing about it is it does have the external braking system on there. I love the external braking system, and you don't have to spend that much money to have one that has this, right? A lot of my other reels have it. My Luge BB1 doesn't. That's my cranking rod. It's 5:1 gear ratio, but I use it for 5 and 6 XD, so I don't really change my lures out too much, or at least the weights on them, and it works once I have it set. But I got a 1/2 ounce jig on here. Again, it's on my jig rod. I can put a 3/8 ounce, a 3/4 ounce, maybe a 1 ounce, 1/4 ounce, and it's really easy to adjust the braking system, obviously, with the external mechanism here. So as you would expect on a reel this price, you want the functionality there, and that's what you get. So again, outstanding quality. I'm not going to own this thing or fish this thing for a couple years, so I can't say how long it's going to last, but based upon my other luge products and just, you know, the quality you're getting out of this thing's going to last you a long time as long as you take care of it. So with that said, I'm going to pop the chesty on. We're going to go out in the middle of the lake. We're going to cast this around so you can see how it performs when I cast, what it sounds like. And then again, at the end of the video, I'm going to talk about two criticisms that you know, I wish they would improve or offer more with this reel. So, and one of them is a personal preference that you may not care about. So with that, let's pop the chesty on. Let's go do some casting. All right, guys, pulled up in the middle of the lake. As you know, I got the Lowe's Pro TI on right here. I've got it on my Mojo bass rod, my jig rod. It's a 7.1 medium heavy, and I've got a 1/2 ounce Arky head jig, finesse cut. It's one of ours. It's been beat up a lot because I've cut a lot of fish on it recently. And it's got a custom H3 custom out of Ava, Missouri, little beaver bait on there. But we're just going to cast this thing out to see how it sounds and see how it performs. Let's do it. Absolutely outstanding. I don't know if you can see how far that casted, but it casted a mile. And absolutely smooth. I barely put my thumb on there, and that thing stopped. No backlash. I reel this in real fast. You can hear I'm burning this jig back, and it is smooth and it's quiet. That means it's got excellent components in it. I'm skimming this jig across the top. I kind of know what I'm casting with here. I had those brakes set on basically 1.5, and I've got it tuned down so my jig will fall pretty fast. That's how I like to have it set up if I'm trying to cast a long way. As you can see that, it drops pretty fast. It's tuned in, got my drag set. I don't expect to catch a fish because they're not in 10 to 20 feet of water right now. They're shallow, they're spawning or post-spawn, but this is just so you guys can see how it casts. So let's cast this thing again and see if we can see how far this thing goes. Absolutely outstanding. It's probably 50 yards out there, 55 yards. So with that, this is my jig rod, and my normal jig reel is the Lew's MB Tournament Speed Spool. It's now discontinued. They have upgraded it with the MP Tournament Speed Spool. Now my MB, the one I use for my jig rod, I upgraded it with ceramic bearings by a Speed Spool. It increased the casting distance. It increased the casting distance about 4 or 5 yards. You know, last night I was standing on my dock. I picked up my normal reel that I use on this rod, that MB version, cast it out, and I cast towards the island across from my boat dock. I do it all the time, so I know about how far it goes. I then put this reel on and cast it out, and I'm close to that island. This reel, out of the box, casts about 4 or 5 yards further than the Tournament MB Speed Spool. Now this reel is about $200 more. So the question you have to ask is $200 more, a $200 price increase worth 4 or 5 extra yards? Probably not. You can just get a little closer. But it does have increased casting ability because this rod is so smooth and you got those premium components. But I just wanted to mention that because that is a factor as well. But smooth casting, again, talked about in the beginning. You can just pitch this thing with absolute ease. Absolute ease. Pretty good distance too. All right, so time to wrap up the video here. Again, today we're talking about the Lowe's Pro TI. I'm drifting here with the wind for a minute. Let me turn and get the sunlight, a little better angle here. But as I'm saying, it's an excellent reel, premium components. Now the two criticisms, the two complaints I have is that one, they've got these big fat grips on here, these Pro grips. I'm not a fan of them, but that's okay. A lot of people do. The other thing is that this is a 7.5 to gear ratio, 7.5 to 1 gear ratio. That's all they offer it in. I like to crank a lot, so I wish there had a 5.4 to 1 or a 5.1 to 1, even a 6.4 to 1 for spinner baits, swim jigs, so I can slow it down if I want to, or really have the capability to burn it. But a 7.5-to-1 is a great all-around gear ratio, jigs, Texas rig, Carolina rig, picking up slack on top water, picking up slack on jerk baits. It's a great all-around gear ratio. Pitching and flipping, and I'm making a lot of casts that way. Maybe I want something a little faster, an 8-to-1, but 7.5-to-1 would work there. So again, I wish I had more options here. So it's the options and the gear ratios and the grips here are the only two complaints I have. Other than that, it's an outstanding reel. I wish I could have a bunch of them, but to be honest, I'm not going to go out and spend the $349 to buy a bunch of them. I'm probably not going to buy one after this because my other Lures can make do. You know, there's a huge difference between a $50 and $200 rod, but there's less of a difference between a $200 rod and a $350 rod. It's the law of diminishing returns in economics. Same thing applies. So I'll stick with what I got, but it was a joy fishing this thing. Glad I caught a fish on it. Hopefully you enjoy this video. So again, make sure you like and subscribe, and I got a few more of these that will be coming out too. So remember, go out there and fish, and a lunker's one cast away.